Everything you think you know about the news is a lie. Not some news, not fake news. All of it. For over 30 years, the most trusted names in American journalism, the New York Times, CBS, Time Magazine, The Washington Post, were secretly working for the CIA, not reporting the news, writing what the agency told them to write, burying the stories the agency wanted buried, destroying the lives of anyone who asked too many questions. 400 journalists, 30 years, every major war, every election, every enemy you were told to fear. This isn't a conspiracy theory. The CIA admitted it. The Senate investigated it. A journalist named Carl Bernstein exposed all of it. And then the most powerful media companies in America made sure you would forget. This is Operation Mockingbird, the biggest propaganda operation in American history. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the people who were supposed to tell you the truth were the ones being paid to keep you quiet. The year is 1948. World War II is over. But a new war has begun. A war of ideas. A war for the minds of people around the world. The Soviet Union is spreading communism, and the newly formed Central Intelligence Agency has been given an impossible mission: win the information war, by any means necessary. One man was handed the keys to this war. His name was Frank Wisner, a Wall Street lawyer turned spy master. Cold, brilliant, obsessed with propaganda. Wisner created a secret department inside the CIA called the Office of Policy Coordination. Its budget was hidden, its operations were invisible, and its mission was terrifyingly simple: control the story, control the world. Wisner had a nickname for his creation. He called it the Mighty Wurlitzer. Like the giant pipe organ, one man at the keyboard, thousands of pipes playing the same tune, all at once, all in harmony. That one man was the CIA, and the pipes were American journalists. By the 1950s, Wisner's program had a new name: Operation Mockingbird. The method was devastatingly effective. CIA officers would approach journalists at major American publications. Sometimes the editors didn't know. Sometimes they did. Sometimes they helped recruit their own reporters. The journalists were paid. Some received cash. Others received scoops, classified information, exclusive access, the kind of material that builds a career. In return, they did one thing. They wrote what the CIA told them to write. They planted stories. They killed stories. They shaped American public opinion on communism, on foreign leaders, on wars, on elections. Here's what Carl Bernstein uncovered in his 1977 Rolling Stone investigation. The CEO of CBS, William Paley, had a personal relationship with the CIA. The network provided cover for CIA agents posing as journalists abroad. The publisher of the New York Times, Arthur Hayes Sulzberger, had signed a secrecy agreement with the agency. His paper ran CIA-approved narratives on the front page. For years, Time Magazine's founder, Henry Luce, was personally close with CIA Director Allen Dulles. His magazines became what one insider called an arm of the agency. The Washington Post, Newsweek, the Associated Press, Reuters, ABC, NBC, Copley News Service, all infiltrated. At its peak, the CIA was paying 400 journalists. Some estimates go higher. These were not freelancers. These were editors, bureau chiefs, foreign correspondents at the most trusted names in American media, and the American people had no idea. What did these journalists actually do? This is where it gets dark. In 1954, the CIA overthrew the democratically elected president of Guatemala. The operation required American public support, so CIA paid journalists wrote articles painting the Guatemalan president as a dangerous communist. He wasn't, but by the time anyone checked, the coup was done. In 1961, the CIA tried to overthrow Fidel Castro in Cuba, the Bay of Pigs. Mockingbird journalists helped manufacture public support for the invasion. When it failed, they helped cover up the agency's role. In Iran, in Chile, in Vietnam. Every major CIA operation of the Cold War had a media component, and that media component had a name: Operation Mockingbird. But it wasn't just foreign policy, it was domestic too. When journalists started asking uncomfortable questions about the Vietnam War, CIA-connected editors buried the stories. When the civil rights movement grew, Mockingbird assets planted articles suggesting Martin Luther King Jr. was controlled by communists. He wasn't. But the stories ran anyway. The agency was not just influencing what you read. It was deciding what you were allowed to know. For decades, Operation Mockingbird was one of the best-kept secrets in American government, until everything fell apart. In 1975, in the wake of Watergate, the U.S. Senate formed a committee to investigate CIA abuses. It was chaired by Senator Frank Church of Idaho. What the Church Committee uncovered was staggering: assassination plots against foreign leaders, illegal surveillance of American citizens, mind control experiments, and a sprawling media manipulation program that had compromised the American free press. 2 years later, Carl Bernstein published his Rolling Stone exposé. 25,000 words, named names, listed publications, proved the program existed. The reaction was silence. Not from the public. The public was horrified, but from the media itself. The biggest news organizations in America had been exposed as CIA assets, and suddenly, they had no interest in reporting the story. The New York Times ran one small article. The Washington Post barely covered it. CBS, NBC, ABC, nearly nothing. The mighty Wurlitzer played its final tune, a song of forgetting. In 1976, CIA Director George Bush announced that the agency would no longer use American journalists as paid assets. But here is the key word in that statement: paid. The program was not ended, it was restructured. Journalists would no longer receive cash, but unpaid cooperation, voluntary relationships, those were never prohibited. In fact, in 1996, CIA Director John Deutsch quietly admitted in congressional testimony that the agency still reserved the right to use journalists as assets, in exceptional circumstances. At the director's discretion, nobody was ever prosecuted for Operation Mockingbird. Not one journalist, not one CIA officer, not one editor who compromised the American free press. The names that Carl Bernstein published? Most of them continued their careers. Some became legends, Pulitzer Prize winners, household names. And the public? The public forgot, because the same institutions that had lied to them were now the ones telling them the story was over. So the next time you watch a news broadcast, the next time you read a front-page story about a foreign war, the next time an unnamed intelligence source tells a journalist exactly what they want you to believe, remember the mighty Wurlitzer. Remember that for 30 years, the most trusted names in American journalism were being paid to lie to you. And remember that the program was never truly ended. It was just renamed. Operation Mockingbird was declassified. But the question it raises has never been answered. If they did it for 30 years and got away with it, why would they ever stop? If this video disturbed you, hit subscribe, because the next story is worse.